Welcome to Journeys of Empowerment. I'm Michiel Suchitrait. This is a place where we slow the pace and make room for conversations that reach beneath what we do into who we are becoming. Together with aspiring, impact-driven female founders, we explore the turning points, the inner shifts, and the moments that quietly change the direction of a life. Sometimes carrying everything alone stops feeling like strength, and something deeper begins asking to be trusted instead. If that's where life happens to meet you today, you're in good company. What if belonging doesn't begin when we finally fit in, but when we stop leaving parts of ourselves behind? Perhaps the deepest freedom comes when we no longer measure our worth by how easily we're accepted. In this episode, I sat down with Vivian Acqua, inclusion strategist, storyteller, and someone who has dedicated her life to helping people create spaces where others don't have to become smaller to belong. We explored what it means to grow up carrying multiple identities, the lasting impact of exclusion on confidence and self-worth, and why empathy can only deepen when we're willing to see beyond our own expectations and experiences. We also talked about the wisdom of Sankofa, the importance of knowing where we come from, and how painful experience of dehumanization in workplace become the catalyst for Vivian's work in building more conscious and human-centered cultures. As Vivian shared with me, I'm not made for everybody. And there's one lie that stayed with me. Belonging begins when we stop shrinking ourselves to make other people comfortable. Listening to Vivian reminded me that inclusion isn't something we create through policies alone. It begins through the courage to know our own story, to honor someone else's, and to meet one another with curiosity instead of assumption. Let's get into it. Vivian, welcome to Journeys of Empowerment.
Thank you for having me here.
I'm so excited that you're here.
Yes.
We see each other multiple times, sliding by through events, panel when you're a panelist or a speaker or a moderator or whatever. And I was always curious, yet there's always a timing in life when our paths crossed, and it did. And then now here we are.
Yeah, thank you.
So welcome. Before we dive into your beautiful, impressive journey, the first question I always love to ask is looking at the future. And the question is, who do you aspire to become?
I would say I want to take a dose of Ava DuVernay, a little bit of Michelle Obama, a little bit of Oprah, and a little bit of my grandmother to combine that into the women that I admire who are a little bit older, but I admire. And as I'm becoming older, I want to see doses of them within me and translate it to what I do, how I operate, and how I approach things in life.
And as much as I would say, I would love to say, wow, what an answer. And here it is. Wow, what an answer. If you have to little bit make it more specific and concrete, what is then the sort of personality as outcome of all these beautiful women you've mentioned?
What they have in common is a way of sharing stories of other people that resonate with the majority. Sometimes stories are being shared and they are not making that connection with other people. My grandma did it through food. Oprah did it to her television or her talk show. Ava DuVernay, who's an amazing movie producer and so much more. She narrates stories of other people and make it more human, more translatable. And then you have Michelle Obama. What do I have to say about her? So each of these women inspire me to become my own great storyteller in my own way. But I'm taking little things of them, applying it to myself so that I can become the next best Vivian, who is a great storyteller.
And your platform is storytelling.
Yeah, storytelling and seducing people with food.
Seducing people
with food, yes.
I hear grandmother is here in it.
Exactly.
Oh, great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Hey, in our conversation we had prior to our conversation of today, there came up a central theme which helps us, but also the listener traveling through our conversation, and also sometimes come back to that theme. It's belonging through conscious inclusion. Now, as beautiful as this is, we love, and I love to understand what for you is inclusion.
Inclusion for me personally is that feeling that you get, that you feel like you're at home. You're not putting on mask, but you are also welcomed in any way. So the complexity that you don't see here while you're listening or maybe watching this episode is I'm 1.86 meters, 6'1" for those who have different metrics. I have always been a tall woman, a tall girl, and oftentimes made myself smaller because other people were smaller. And when you're taking pictures, you move yourself a little bit around to make yourself smaller, and not realizing that how figurative it can work under the layers to keep yourself small whilst you are a giraffe. I now see myself as a giraffe, and I'm standing
Proud
more
giraffe.
tall.
Yeah.
I'm standing more tall, but also claiming my length as well. So being able to shine, being able to be yourself without having an oxygen mask present, and feeling welcome in the space that you are in.
It's a lot to take in right away.
I know.
Let's go all the way back to little Vivian. What are some vivid childhood experiences or memories that would be important to really help people to understand who is Vivian? Where does she come from? What is her trajectory? How did she came on the trajectory you're on right now? So let's go all the way back, the earliest childhood experiences. And
so up until I was 7.5, I was the only child in a Ghanaian household with two parents. My father and mother were divorced, but they were still somewhat together. And then came my brother, Kenneth, who is now an artist. And then 2 years after that, Alex came. And then, let's say, 7.5 years after that, also my sister came. So I call myself the second mom of the whole clique. And growing up from that age, I don't say that I knew that, I wouldn't say that my childhood was over, but it was different. It was filled in differently, and also given the cultures that the eldest child, so daughter, son, person, fills in a certain role, given that my parents also were navigating through the Netherlands, having a different space. I was sometimes their translator in so many things, and also managed to maneuver my way around school as well, knowing where they came from, but also understanding that they didn't know how to play the game in the Netherlands.
How was it growing up in the Netherlands, and also especially school? How was your school experience?
I have mixed feelings regarding school. There was a time where I felt like me being neurodivergent helped me to thrive to school because I was a dreamer. And therefore there were occasions where it helped me being a dreamer. And sometimes there were occasions where it didn't help me. So I often got the label weird, or people didn't understand me. And I was just like, well, if you don't understand me, I understand myself, and I understand where I'm coming from, and my brain works differently. So I've always navigated around the way that I'm not made for you. It's not about you understanding me. It's about me understanding myself and navigating a way to not fit in, but add to wherever I am, add to the culture, add to the environment, add to something that gives me joy. Then you also have a Ghanaian growing up in the Dutch education where, let's say, the stories about Ghana, and I'm talking about the colonial past of the Netherlands, were not portrayed in a way that resonated with me, and also in a way that I grew up learning, right? Because Dutch people, they enslaved Ghanaians. And they also made it so like it was about trading. No, they kidnapped people and they brought them elsewhere. They brought it to Suriname. They brought it to the Antilles. They brought it to the US even. So for me, knowing that presence and also understanding that at the time being African wasn't hip, or I wouldn't say hip, but you have these classes in India, right? And these classes also applied here where people would see me as a special child because I am different than the Africans that they see on the television. But sometimes I also got I don't know how to describe it. I got that feeling that they looked upon me like, you made it because you're different, so you made it, and you should be proud that you are here, whilst there's so much richness in Ghana as well.
You should be proud or you should be grateful?
I don't know what is going on in people's minds, but maybe it could be both. Maybe it could be the other. I'm just assuming because of what they said to me that it was proud, but in a way I do understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. Well, I heard as a child that I should be grateful because I'm adopted.
Yeah.
Whilst I'm never asked for being adopted. It's a whole... but so that question popped
I get
up,
it.
and
I get it.
And I was like, but what's underneath the
Yeah.
question or what people say? And wow, you made it. Wow, you should be proud.
Yeah.
Or is it? You never know. And I've once read a book. Lately, I got it also as a present from one of my friends, Sasha Martina. And it's not about it didn't start with you. It didn't start with you. I don't know if you read the book, but
I know about the title, and I think I read it a long time ago.
Me too. But the part I still remember is that it's over time scientifically proven that the transgenerational trauma
travels
gets
with you.
transferred, but not only through upbringing, but also in the proteins of our genes, and there's stored trauma which is transferable via also the genes. And I was really taken aback because, as you know, I'm adopted and I grew up here in a predominantly white environment by 2 Dutch parents. So what's there to understand about my previous history? But reading that book made me much more aware about my bicultural background. Thank you, Kimo, for unconscious cultural background, which becomes conscious. Having said that, if you look at your school time and where did you feel that what you perceived there? It's maybe a difficult question, but it's I'm really curious about what you perceived there. It's cool. How much do you believe it is felt through knowing the history versus feeling from inside, from maybe ancestral? How much do you believe is at play? Do you believe that there was something at play unconscious and now maybe becoming conscious? Because I'm asking.
Yeah. For me, knowing what I knew about Ghana and the relationship that Ghana had with the Netherlands, I didn't adopt what was shared at school because I knew a different story. The only thing is that I had a hard time sharing that story, or people making, to understand that that's not the truth. There is a other side to the story. And then even I think my Dutch teacher gave me a low grade because they felt like I wasn't telling the truth. But I got a 6 or 5.5 or something like that. It wasn't really something that I was able to convince them. It wasn't my place, but I knew the story. I knew where I'm from. I knew the story, and I know that Ghana also had a contribution in how people were enslaved, and they apologized for that as well. But the Dutch also did a lot of wrong, and there is a recent book right now that is sharing the true numbers about how many people were enslaved. So it's not what you think it is, it's far more. And it came out recently in the Netherlands.
So we share that in the show notes. I don't know what do you know the name of the book?
I don't know the name yet,
All right.
but I'll make sure to share it.
Yeah, we will share it in the show notes. And I'm really curious to read that one. And what made it, what realization did it give the experience of being at school in Amsterdam East? What sort of realization did it give you, that experience at school?
I look back at a mixed experience because you have to realize that I'm the eldest of the 4 children. So I'm part-time mom, caregiver. I'm also doing my assignments at school. Also, finding out who I am in the world, where I fit in and what I like. And on top of that, I'm also neurodivergent. So for me, looking back, it felt like I was in a bubble. That bubble saved me. But I also have sometimes a mixed inner conflict of, did I like it? No. But there were times that I did like it as well.
Did you feel welcomed?
There were times that I did, and there were times that I didn't.
Because exclusion is also a theme which traveled through your journey.
True, and it came in different variations, whether it's my cultural identity or whether it's me being tall. Me being tall is also, I wouldn't say I got bullied, but it was sometimes a hinder. And therefore, I didn't like to be always the tallest girl in the room or always the tallest person in the room because, let's say till I was 16, it wasn't really beneficial for me, or I didn't see the benefit until I got 16. Then I noticed the benefit, and now I really notice the benefit as well. But let's say a few years ago, I got into a bicycle accident, and I realized that me being tall is a privilege. Until you sit in a wheelchair, you don't know that people will ignore you because they assume that you cannot talk or you cannot, they cannot have an honest conversation. But it was my ankle that was broken, not my mouth or my mind.
How did it make you feel when you were in the wheelchair? Because I can imagine that did something.
It did something, but in this stage of life, I take everything that can be seen as exclusion as a lesson. It taught me a valuable lesson because I now was able to understand that friends who were smaller, predominantly my lady friends who were smaller, they have shared with me, they have been into occasions where they were not being taken seriously. And the linking pin with the different friends they were a lot shorter than myself. And I told them that I never had that kind of exclusion until I was sitting in a wheelchair. Yeah.
Made me think about one of my best friends, my brother, Karim. And I once traveled with him. And I think I mentioned it a long time ago in a podcast, but it made such a severe impression. I was traveling with him and we went to multiple events. That in and of itself is already quite an undertaking.
Yeah,
and then,
it's a journey.
And then the last one was at Well, I won't mention the HQ. They helped really beautiful, but it was at the Grachtenpand, so in Amsterdam, the canals, and all steep.
Yeah.
But before we were there, we had to travel by public transport, and it was rush hour.
Yeah.
So it was spits. It was crowded.
Yeah.
Now here it comes. While I was pushing the wheelchair, navigating through the crowd, and then all of a sudden I discovered that the elevator is never in the middle or whatever. It's always
at the end.
At the end of the hallway, and of course,
so you have to do a whole journey.
Yeah, the whole journey through that.
I think I know where you went.
Yeah, and it drained completely. So I was, and then the next thing was at the event that they told us before that they had a ramp, but yeah, it's so steep. Yeah, theoretically you can have a ramp, but if it's steeper than the rocket goes to the moon, then you know for sure how is that going to work. Yeah. So then all of a sudden, a few VCs who are very sportive came to carry Karim. But can you imagine also how you must feel when you get carried and everybody's watching, and then carried on thing? And I truly believe that we don't have to underestimate what kind of challenges a form of disability meets in daily life, right?
Yeah. You would think that in the Netherlands or in Europe, where they talk about, disability and have a lot of accessibility, that they would design with those who have a disability in mind, but oftentimes they don't.
No.
And it's true that journey that I'm seeing things through a different light. I mean, ever since I had that accident, and now I'm a person who has a disability, it sometimes annoys me. I have to be honest, it annoys me. But then again, I try to see the light. What is the lesson that it is teaching me for me to translate it to somebody else to understand it better
and make people aware of it. And it wasn't a whole awareness trip for myself and also for the people around us, because although we have a ramp, if it's such steep, then it's only theoretical, because in practice we had to carry him upstairs, so it drained. So I had to leave.
I wanted to say, by the end of the day, I think you were drained.
I was
from that
really
whole experience.
I felt so uncomfortable. That is a dream story, buddy, but I need to go. I need to get myself out of the equation. Yeah. And I went home. I knew he was going to be picked up, and I was like, it drained. And I feel also a sort of, in Dutch we say plaatsvervangende schaamte. A little bit. I thought, like, come on, we have to really be considerate in a lot of things. But the first step is becoming aware. And
you walked a mile in his shoes.
It was, literally, and it was.
So many people don't, and they place themselves with their lived experience in their backpack without realizing that your lived experience doesn't equate to my lived experience, therefore not your lived experience as well.
And theoretically, we can understand, and also when it comes to, the rational part, we can understand, but the emotional lived experience is a totally different ball game. Yeah. So, and maybe even if my friend of Enliven, Empathy, Alex, is listening to this beautiful conversation, think about VR technology, which also not only enables to see discrimination or microaggression on the work floor, but how could it be if we help, for instance, people who are responsible for designing the next station and the central station and design, let him see through VR technology how the experience is. Because the moment we really experience to go put yourself in the shoes of others, there the moment of realization starts. It's only the realization
I've experienced it. I've worked with virtual reality many times, so I know the impact that it has, but also I do believe in realistic scenarios where people are being shown scenarios that contains real people. I don't really believe in avatars, because not everybody is a gamer regarding that. So the example that I use is based upon real people, real scenarios. It's literally a movie, but then you're playing a part of the movie as well.
So let's get back to our conflict, to you and me.
Yeah.
That had, of course, made a severe impression on you and gave you, it enriched also a worldview, right? Moving from school to, what's the next stage in your life? What did you do?
Moving from school, I think that would be moving from Amsterdam to Utrecht, I guess. Living together with my then partner and navigating who am I? Who is Vivian? What do I like and what do I love to do? And that caused me to become a consultant because I didn't know in which environment I could thrive. I knew that I need to have different environments because I like the dynamics of working with different companies, different teams as well. And I learned a lot through consultancy. It's like a pressure cooker where you work within 4 to 8 months within a team and you help fix their problem.
Whilst you were navigating who am I? What did you learn about yourself being a consultant?
I learned that I like the flexibility. I learned I like the different dynamics. I learned what I didn't like. So I call different companies or departments or teams that I work with. There's a Dutch program where the person is looking at the kitchen setting of a restaurant and he explicitly says this is not going to make me happy or this is going to make me really happy. And I see it also as a similar way of Gordon Ramsay's show Hell Kitchen. Some kitchens are, some departments or some teams, they represent Hell's Kitchen. Because the dynamics that the environment that people are working in, but also leadership or team members, they are not working on the foundation to become effective teams, to effectively communicate with each other. Whilst with some teams, they were missing some minor ingredients to become better, but they had the foundation, and other teams were missing, a little bit more, where sometimes they were good teams, sometimes they were not so good teams as well.
And you've been a consultant for how long?
I would say, if I would count up to now, that would say 26 years. Yeah.
And in what area did you start and what area are you now?
Yeah. So I started my journey after business economics as a financial consultant. And then I realized that I could not shake the idea of not doing anything with the IT. So I became a bridge builder between finance and IT and having a conversation with those who are designing the financial systems. Eventually, I crossed over to the IT to become a designer or to become an engineer for a functional consultant for Oracle EBS, where I helped design the financial platform layer of for the companies as well. And I walked away from that because of the dehumanization that I encountered.
That's a deep word.
I know.
Can we a little bit pause for a second? Dehumanization.
Dehumanization.
It's very fast said.
Yeah.
But it's a deep concept.
Yeah.
Dehumanization, and you've experienced it yourself being there.
Yeah. I can share a little bit more if you want me to.
Please.
So when I was, let's say, around 2013, I discovered that I was pregnant at the time. And in the first trimester, I dealt with some challenges. I wanted to be open and transparent about that with my then managers. You have to realize I was working for a company, 40 people, 5 managers, male managers, because they were the owners. And I told them. Their response felt like I cheated on them. You told
them that you were pregnant, right?
I told them that I was pregnant. Yeah. And they responded in a way that felt like I cheated on them by becoming pregnant. Even one of the managers shared that, did you plan this?
What?
Yeah, I know. I know. In my mind, I wanted to say something about or speak up about how ridiculous this is about you asking this of me. But knowing this type of person, and now that I know more, I can definitely label this person as a narcissistic person. I could not say my truth, so I told him, like, no, I did not know this.
Can we get back to that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Right here, right now?
Yeah.
To that moment?
Yeah.
How did it make you feel?
Small. Very small. Very small, but also fragile and vulnerable, given that I'm carrying Orlando in my belly and was going through a lot of emotions, a lot of uncertainty, but also stress. So I had many hospital visits. Stress is not good because it can cause hypertension. And going through a pregnancy whilst dealing with hypertension and stress, it's not recommendable. I and Orlando are very, very, very lucky that we survived those challenging times. And I realized it only when he was born. That's when the realization came in.
So you felt small?
I felt small.
You had to go to a lot of examination at the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on, what do you mean by hypertension?
High blood pressure.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned also the impact. Where do you think the hypertension came from?
Stress. Stress is a factor of hypertension, but also I have hypertension in my lineage.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, my grandmother died because of it. So I'm trying to be very cautious of it. And it could have also been passed on to Orlando, and it could have also caused a lot of challenges where I could have lost him. Yeah.
Luckily you didn't.
Luckily I didn't, but I've heard after I shared my story after a few years, I've heard a lot of stories where people lost their child because of the challenges that they felt in the workplace.
Thank you for sharing. And before we move on, let's again travel back to that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're a strong advocate.
Mm-hmm.
And it did something to you.
Yeah.
What would you have whispered with the lived experience of yourself in the ears of that manager before he asked that question?
I would not have whispered anything. I would have removed myself from that situation because it took me to become pregnant and to get Orlando to see my true worth, and that company wasn't worthy of me. But then if I would have removed myself, I wouldn't be here. So in a way, it's weird to say this, and looking back, I do understand some perspective of why they did what they did, because they had a future in mind and they had a business goal in mind, and me becoming a mom wasn't part of their future.
They envisioned.
Yeah.
And what is here to learn then for them?
I hope that they have changed their ways, and if not, history will repeat itself, or it will come back. That's what I've seen when there are certain times, and I think Oprah said this, sometimes things will whisper in your ear and you're not listening. So it will tap you on your shoulder. You're not listening. It will come back and smack you in the face. So I don't know what valuable lesson there was for them, but I do hope that they have changed their ways, because some of the managers do have children, do have a girl. And I would never wish this upon my worst enemy, to what I have experienced.
What helped you to come to the realization and understanding in hindsight that they weren't just right, they weren't worth of you? What helped you? Because
my son put
it's
everything
far easier than said than done, right? Than experience.
Yeah. So I went to a postnatal depression. A lot of women go through that, or a lot of parents go through that after the birth of their child. If you don't have the support system, or just the overwhelm of what society thinks that you should behave when you have a child, or you should act, and also dealing with all the hormones isn't helpful as well, and lack of sleep. But there was one time where I had Orlando on my lap, and it hit me. I saw a vision or a future dream, or whatever you call it, and we were having a conversation together with the older Orlando, dealing with challenges in the workplace. And given that I told him, like, have you done this? Have you done this? Okay, if you've done this, then it's time to remove yourself from this equation, because this is not healthy for you. And if I'm having that conversation with him, why am I not, taking that to myself? Because I don't want to teach him about staying put in a place that does not celebrate you, doesn't want you. And even whilst I told them that I wanted to leave so that things would get better, they also didn't like that I left on my own.
Wow.
Yeah. And here I am, I'm just like, you don't know half the trauma or the scar that they have caused, because it took me a long time to realize that's one of the reasons why Orlando is only child.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Because of that experience.
Yeah. It had a huge impact on me, and I was scared. I was scared to become pregnant whilst I was an employee, and after, when I started my business, I also was like, yeah, but isn't it going to impact what I'm doing? Because that's the trauma, that the impact of the trauma had on me. And I have to say that 2 years ago, I started with EMDR. Really, really helpful. Whereas I'm able to talk about this topic, but also to talk about my then managers at the time. And in the past, when I talked about it, a lot of emotions and a lot of pain and a lot of arousal triggers came up. And I can now talk about it. I mean, I'm still sad about what happened, or sad that it had to come to this, but I don't feel the emotions like I used to.
Not that sharp. Not that itching on your nerve.
Yeah.
Pain.
Yeah. And I'm not a doctor, but I do recommend those. I do, from my experience, I've heard a lot of positive things regarding EMDR. When you have a good physician who understands it and does it well,
to help,
it can remove
total process, right?
It can remove a lot of the negative effects that sometimes an experience that happened maybe 20 years ago still has on you.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
I've done it myself. We went all the way back to early childhood. I think it's now 5-6 years ago. So in my late 40s, and looking all the way back to childhood experiences, especially physical abuse. Yeah. And we went all the way back. And for me, how I experienced it is that it takes away the sharp edge of the pain. So the memory is still there, but the sharp pain. And for me, long term now, looking back, is that because of the sharp pain is gone, it is a memory, but not as painful as it was.
I can translate it in a different way. What it does, it can activate the fight, flight, freeze mechanism.
Yes.
But because of EMDR, of the impact of EMDR, that mechanism has now been deactivated.
Beautiful said.
Yeah.
So you operate in the window of tolerance instead of the hypo, the hippo arousal.
Yeah.
Wow. And you said raising Orlando. It sounds like a miracle in a mirror.
Yeah, it is. It is because I'm Ghanaian. My partner is Dutch, and Orlando is bicultural. We say double blood or double blood.
Yeah.
There's no half anything because he has the best of both worlds. And I think it was in 2024 when I went with my partner Jan and Orlando to Ghana, to Elmina, one of the point of no return, the castle where they enslaved Ghanaians and brought them to the new world, quote. Being there with my son, realizing that 400 years ago, our connection would be different. I would have lost my child. I would have been seen as a commodity. And my partner would be, I don't know what he is, but he will be above me. And it did a lot. Also within Elmina, there are certain spaces that I cannot walk through because I can feel a lot. I can feel the energy. I can feel the presence. And I've been, into some of the entrances before where it did suffocate me. So knowing that, I also told Orlando that if you feel some kind of way or feel drawn or feel sad or there's a pit in your stomach because of what happened in the past, know that you don't have to enter certain areas.
Again, a sort of prevent yourself or get yourself out of the equation. If it doesn't work for you, it's not healthy for you, right?
Yeah, true. And I can share the link of that summary that I did about what being there in Ghana did with me, but also the experience of being there with my son as well. Share that in the show notes. Yeah, in the show notes,
please do so.
Yeah.
So the book
Yeah.
and the show notes. Now we will get it out of the transcript, of course. But and what do you feel then if you walk there and you feel what is this sort of feeling? What are you experiencing?
The feeling of an anaconda wrapping around your body or choking you on your neck. You feel suffocated. You feel like somebody is kicking you in the stomach, and that hurts. But also the amount of pain that is carried through you. I sometimes wonder, and I think there is a truth in it, that maybe my great something went through that passage. Because I can see, when I look at certain Surinamese, I can see the Ghanaian in them. It's also with those who are from the Antilles. I can see the typical Ghanaian features. I can see it on their face. And when I ask them, like, are you Ghanaian? No, I'm not.
But if you look back in the ancestry,
they do have the Ghanaian features on them, or the West African features, let me say it like that.
So comes a question that's also out of personal curiosity. How do you identify yourself?
I identify myself first as Ghanaian.
Yes.
Then Dutch. Ghanaian first, then Dutch. And it's interesting that you are asking me, because for the Ghanaians who are born in Ghana, they see me as the Dutch lady or the...
So they see it the other way around.
They see it the other way around.
Ghanaian. All right.
And here in the Netherlands, I would be, for a Dutch person, Dutch white person, I would be just one of those who are a person of color or a black person. And it took me a while, especially with my business, I had to identify myself with somebody or something. And I felt conflicted because in the Ghanaian way of doing things, you don't share your dirty laundry. You don't talk about trauma. You don't talk about the things that hurt you. We love to celebrate. We celebrate everything. And we love to cry, you know, especially during funerals as well. But we also celebrate somebody's life. And in the Dutch way of doing things is you say something. When something happens, say something, do something, be direct. So I felt conflicted into who is Vivian, because I'm the best of both. And now I see, I've learned a long time ago, I'm the best of both. And either you like me or you don't like me. I'm not made for everybody.
And if we had to answer that question, who is Vivian? What would be then your answer?
A funny, nerdy, quirky lady who people say she does a lot, but that has to do with me being neurodivergent because
she doesn't what?
She does a lot.
It does a lot.
She does a lot. Because I started my career from finance, then went to the IT, then now I'm an inclusion strategist who's bringing all these different layers that she has learned as a consultant into the work that she's doing now. And she is a nerd. She loves Star Wars. She loves watching cartoons, Disney movies is a guilty pleasure. And she's bringing in a lot of knowledge, but also there are 12 different roads that lead to Rome, and I'm applying them all at once in my brain.
You mentioned quite some time. I'm laughing because it's fascinating to have a conversation with you. But while I'm trying to grasp what you've just shared about who you are, one thing pops up, and that comes through our conversation multiple times, and it is neurodivergent. So what for you is the way you see yourself being neurodivergent?
Yeah. So one reason why I'm neurodivergent is I have dyslexia, which means that when I read things, sometimes things get a little bit blurry or all the letters are confused, especially when the text is boring. So what you'll see me do is listen to text. I have a lot of audiobooks on my phone, or if I need to read something that is very important, I also have tools to read them out loud so that I can catch the feature as well. It's different when somebody says something to you than when you have to read it your own, because if I have to read it, it will take me the longest to read a book. I won't even read it, maybe a few chapters and then I'm gone. Because you have to grab my attention. It has to also be in certain text style or font style. And it has to be in a way how I consume stories.
Storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah. It has to engage you.
Yeah.
It has to touch you.
Exactly. It has to speak to me as well. That's also one of the reasons why I don't watch or listen to horror movies, because I have a vivid mind. I paint.
It haunts you.
I paint the full picture. When I listen to an audiobook, it's like I'm my own Ava DuVernay, where I'm creating my own movie in my mind as well. And I have not diagnosed this, but I do suspect that I have ADHD. 3 years ago, 4 years ago, I don't remember the time anymore with this corona whole space. I went to an event after the lockdown when we were allowed to go out
in real life events.
Yeah, and then I went to an event for 3 days. It was a 3-day business event with a lot of good food, but also a lot of noise. I'm allergic to flashes. I'm allergic to a lot of noise, and it took me like 30 days to get over my social hangover, because I was amongst people, and how I realized it was I was angry a lot.
Oh, wow.
And I was on the edge, and my mood, and I was just like, but this is not me. I don't recognize myself. I don't see myself. And that's when, this was all before AI, but I did some research about, okay, but why am I doing this? And why is it so that I'm dreaming? And mind you, I've been doing the VR training for a very long time, but oftentimes when people talk about neurodivergent or talk about autism or talk about ADHD, they show people like Forrest Gump. They show people like, I think it was Rayman with with Tom Cruise and the brother. I could never see myself in that, not realizing that there are different levels of being neurodivergent. There are different layers of being neurodivergent, and to understand that it shows up differently for women. So my brain is wired differently. That's the simplest way of explaining of being neurodivergent, but also realize that somebody who had a brain injury can become part of the tribe. Someone who has dyscalculia is also part of that.
It's a different form of wiring, and neurons that wire, and it's different wiring and firing, right?
Yeah.
So, and I came to believe that we have a group. It's a growing group of we call ourselves neuromaniacs or spicy.
I'm part of the spicy, given that I love food.
We love to eat. We love to eat, but also make fun about all the experiences. And I recognize a lot of what you said about being in as you know, I'm also very much on events. And as much as I love it, and as much as I'm an extrovert,
the next day
yet I have to withdraw, and especially when I stopped drinking. So when I stopped partying and drinking the way I did, drinking for 100% from August 2023, so almost 3 years. Normally, when I drink, it starts, and then you can get over it. You know, you can extend it, and then you get the punch in the head later on. But now, when the panels are over, the conversations are over, we had some beautiful connection and some new connections maybe or whatever, but I have to withdraw myself from the equation.
I get that.
And get some in my progress room where we started our conversation downstairs with the artwork. That's really where that's the smallest room in the house, and that's where I feel safest. And also I close the door, and it's in my bubble with all the books and artworks and everything surrounded, and it's like my mini universum.
Yeah.
How do you cool down?
How do I cool down?
Because you are also,
how do I recharge?
Yeah, recharge. What helps you?
What helps me nowadays is I've invested in an in-house sauna a long time ago. I bought this sauna because in the winter, the winter here in the Netherlands is doing a number on my DNA and my blood, and everything is shouting like, go to Ghana, go somewhere, not here. But I don't always have the luxury to just escape and go to Ghana for like 6 months. So I invested in an infrared sauna. And then after the accident, I needed the infrared sauna. So the infrared sauna is my way of resetting a day. I love to start with it.
Oh, wow.
In the beginning of the day. So after exercising and then sitting in the sauna for like 20 to 30 minutes. Sometimes listening to a book or sometimes watching something else. So I'm looking at something but also not unwinding. It recharges my day. And it's really good for my ankle to rejuvenate and recover and to replenish and to recharge. And music. Music.
It's an interesting one. it's related to what you've just shared, is Kimo once asked me in the podcast, Kimo Kamara, amazing brother. He once asked me in the podcast, and that really blew me away, what centers you? But I have a different question for you.
Okay.
What fuels you?
What fuels me? I like it when people enjoy what I have to share, what I'm doing, whether it's creating, a valuable dish or meal. I used to have my own cooking program, so that's also a thing that I did in the past. Or that people consume what I have to share and it resonates with them. They have told me in the past that I have a very vivid way of sharing or making things that are complex more digestible, making it land better. That's because I am a visual storyteller. I love to paint a picture so that people can understand what I'm trying to say instead of just cramping in the information.
And do you see or do you experience you being neurodivergent as a blessing or curse?
Both. Both.
Let's start with the curse.
The curse can be that's in the past. Now that I know more about myself and know, what I can do in those moments, I can blurt things out. I can say what's on my mind, what should have stayed in my mind. I'm more conscious of that. And I would also say that not being able to activate staying too late. Because sometimes I do want to stay. I do have a FOMO of fear of missing out, but
or maybe also from strategic reasons that you have to maybe stay longer.
True,
right?
true, for business reasons.
For business reasons, what?
I now activate more of the joy of missing out. I don't care.
The joy of missing out.
I don't care if I need to be there. I'll try to be there like 2 hours, but if it isn't fueling me from the inside, and I also am looking at the rest of the week, my battery, I'm checking in with my battery. And sometimes I'm saying, I do an Irish goodbye. I learned it from somebody that...
Irish goodbye.
You're exiting a room without announcing that you're leaving. Vivian was here. Vivian isn't here.
She needed some recovery time.
Exactly. This also reminds me of those who organize events. Include a silent room or a silent space so that we can extend our stay and have the opportunity to woosah and recharge. Because if the space did have a silent space, I would have stayed and recharged myself.
Wow.
I always have most of the times I do have my headphones, and if not, I have my earplugs all the time for those just in case moments.
Creating your mini moments for yourself. I've once, it's not long ago, from an event at Van Landschot Kempen together with Professional Women's Network, and there was an amazing crowd. It was, I think, 100 plus people. And what it was very busy, and what they did was exactly what you've mentioned. They had few rooms that were silence rooms to get yourself out of the equation in between breaks or whenever you need it. Step out and just go to that place, and it's like a silent coupe in the train for yourself to really, get back to yourself and recharge, right?
I think that's also one of the reasons why there is a generation that is not going out, that their going out experience is different than the bars of the clubs.
True.
Yeah.
We've also had, there was an interesting part in our previous conversation about healing through lineage and memory. And you mentioned that your grandmother became a symbolic anchor. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that one? What beautiful.
My grandmother lived in Ghana, and it wasn't so that I saw her frequently, but I did, talk to her. And now looking back, we had small conversations, but I was always sitting next to her while she was cooking. And I realized that her way of cooking, or just being with her, it created an inner peace with so many people. And unfortunately, she passed away in 2009, so she could never connect with my son. But I see a lot of her in my son.
Orlando, wow.
And I created the show Cooking Back to Our Roots so that he could learn about his grandmother through the different conversations that I was having with other people about what does food mean to you in your roots, and what role does it play, and what's your favorite food? Because when we talk about where are you really from, it's so annoying question. You can also redirect it. What's home for you? What's your favorite food? And where does it come from?
It's both inspirational and educational.
Mm-hmm.
You also mentioned Sankofa.
Yeah.
A principle.
Yeah.
Which principle did you mention?
Sankofa is a Ghanaian proverb. It's also an Adinkra symbol, and the symbol shows up in two different ways. It's either the heart-shaped, which you see back in... I'm realizing that Sankofa is in a lot of things. The heart shape is in a lot of gates, in a lot of chairs, in a lot of stamps as well. And it could otherwise also be the geese that is placing an egg on their back. And it literally means in Tree, which is a Ghana dialect, it means go back and fetch. Learn from your past to bring it into now and the future. Go back and fetch.
Past, present, and future.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. That's how I apply it. And I have it on my wrist as a reminder.
That was my next question.
Yeah.
What do you have on your wrist, and what is the symbolic behind it? But it is...
It is that. I have the heart shape on my wrist, and I'm lately rediscovering that this heart shape is in a lot of architecture. When you look at certain chairs or designs or just gates, you will see the heart shape in different ways or form, and therefore Sankofa traveled far. It traveled really far.
Thank you for sharing. So if we all bring it together and think about our belonging through conscious inclusion central theme.
Yeah.
How are you combining, leveraging, how is it fueling you when it comes to what you're doing nowadays?
I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because there are days that things get rough and tough, especially in today's light with all the challenges from the US. And more people having a black and white way of thinking. You're either camp A or camp B, and there is no middle, or there are no other options. I try to look at my son. I try to remind myself why and who am I doing it for, because this is a journey that is not an easy journey. It's also a journey sometimes that can demand a lot of mental labor, emotional labor. But I remind myself of who am I doing it for? It's him. We are brought here on earth to share our gifts, not to do gatekeeping. And I want to be part of creating a solution instead of being part of the problem. So I want to be the person that helps managers and teams in effective collaboration and communication through the work that I do, through diversity and inclusion.
Effective collaboration. Do you have a definition of what, for us to understand, what do you mean by effective collaboration?
Effective collaboration for me is a way to connect, build relationships with other people, but also understand that you don't have to enemify a person to be able to collaborate with them. Sometimes we go into the workplace and just because, for instance, you did me harm or said something that wasn't part of my values, that I put the label of you're my enemy. Mm. But putting that label will not help us as a team to reach our goals. And to be able to remove that label, we also have to address, what does inclusion mean to you? What does psychological safety mean to you? And who are you as a person to collaborate? And one of the tools that I use is cultural intelligence, where one of the things that I found out about myself in the space, in the moment of time that I am, is I'm not a person who's individual from my Western upbringing, but I'm also not a person who is collectivism. I'm in the middle. I can tap in and out into what is needed. So there are moments and certain times and days or spaces where I can live in my bubble and work on my own. But there are moments in time where I love to be amongst people, and I can switch that on and off. And knowing that of yourself, but also knowing what is your authority level. Do you like authority, or are you against, regions or cultures that really, don't like authority? Or are you a person that you trust somebody when they show up on time? Mm-hmm. Or you trust somebody based upon building that relationship?
It's a good question.
When you know that of somebody without them showing up vulnerable, I'm being very vulnerable during this podcast, but not everybody knows how to tap into that. Not everybody wants to tap into that because it's not always psychological safe. And that's where cultural intelligence offers the assessment without asking vulnerable questions. They have done so many assessments, I think about 500,000 of people, that they know how to navigate you, or they know how to do their check-in and to find out, okay, who are you? And knowing that of yourself is also a unique recipe of you adding that to, this is how I collaborate. This is how I identify. And knowing this of myself, I can also contribute to effective collaboration. I know it's a very long answer, but I hope
I love it.
It's understandable.
Understandable. It's a large concept, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why the reason it's very easy to say, okay, yeah. nice, but really trying to understand what's underneath and what sort of principles it's based upon.
Yeah.
And if you look in your current work field, if you will, what is the biggest challenge for you see that still needs a lot of attention?
We all, and this is something that it's our brain's fault, put people into boxes where we either say that they are in our in-group, or we place a label enemy and put them outside. So there's a lot of conversation at the moment right now, which is a trending topic, which I'll pick, is asylum seekers. Apparently, they are the fault of everything that's going wrong in the Netherlands. And they are being placed as a scapegoat. And I don't understand how people are doing it. And also, if you would walk a mile in their shoes for one day, I know that a lot of people who are now accusing the asylum seekers would break. The pain, the journey that they went through, the humiliation, the dehumanization, and then reaching a safe haven in the Netherlands thinking that it's safe. And then people are doing things that is dehumanizing. We don't know the full story. And also our government is also helping in creating a situation where people would understand why they are making certain decisions.
Now I give you a magic wand.
Yeah.
You have only one strike.
Yeah.
What would be the solution on strike?
Increasing empathy amongst everybody. I cannot fix all the problems, but I want to amplify empathy.
And it does something with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
May I ask what happens right now? Because I see...
For me, empathy is a word that I've learned. I am an empath, and I need to shut down oftentimes because I can feel a lot. But giving the gift of applying empathy and understanding, you don't have to live my life, but just walk with me. Just like you did with Kareem.
Yes, trying to put yourself in the shoes of others.
Just like you did the whole day you spent with him.
Yeah, I was.
And that was one day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of course, but that specific day, it was multiple events, traveling through rush hour at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
What is for you in the foreseeable future something you really want to explore further? So you're exploring multiple things, and because of the fact also that you're neurodivergent, as you yourself said, like you like to explore and to you're in the intersection of multiple domains. Mm-hmm. Is there still a domain untapped?
No. There comes a time and a place, and I'm not saying that I'm closing myself off for new topics, but the way things are accelerating with the launch of AI, I want to stay focused in my domain and of course keep on learning, but I don't have the need to know everything.
No,
I have a rich network where I can ask questions or I can bring somebody forward. So exploring deepening what I know now and the areas that I know and deepen that.
Although you told me, of course, you told us about dyslexia.
Yeah.
Still, I have one question which centers around. So please allow me and forgive me for my question. Sorry, not sorry, but did you ever think about writing a book?
A lot of people have said that. And I'm in the moment, in the midst of dictating my book.
Yeah. That's okay.
Because
sort of vibe coding. We have vibe coding and dictating a book, right?
I have had this question a gazillion times.
And why do you think that is?
It's time for people to read what I share in my book. I mean, I've seen my dear friend Masha Goddard, who has shared her book.
She's amazing.
Yeah, she is. And the way she writes, I can see her words in it, but I get stuck. I get all these challenges of not being good enough to write.
Imposter syndrome.
A little bit imposter syndrome, but also who's going to read? I'm sharing a lot. Who's going to read into that? But I'm on the journey.
Okay, but then back to my question. Why do you believe so many people are asking you to write a book? Why do you believe people are asking you to write a book?
Apparently, I have the influential muscle to inspire many people.
All right, so if you're listening back, and you will, that's the luxury of the podcast.
I already know.
You will circle back to this answer every time when you're in a critic, imposter syndrome kicks in, or if you will. It doesn't matter how we call that little voice nagging little voice in our head.
Yeah.
Just listen to the last part of our episode.
I will.
And also allow yourself, maybe it might be true.
Yeah. It is. I it took me a while. It took me like 5 years or so, but I'm on the journey.
On the journey of?
Writing. Dictating, not writing, dictating.
and believing that your story matters.
Definitely. I mean, I know that I'm very influential, and I know that with the way that I share things, I make things bite-sized. I make complex things a little bit more bite-sized, and there is a place for my voice and my words.
Vivian, thank you so much for our conversation today.
Thank you.
We can easily go on for hours.
I know.
And I truly enjoyed it. But for now, thank you very much for you being you.
Thank
being
you.
here.
Yeah.
And on to many more conversations.
Thank you.
Thank you for spending this time with us. Perhaps something from this conversation is still settling. A perspective, a feeling, or a question that arrived without asking permission. That's often how meaningful change begins. Stories have a way of traveling beyond the moment they are told, finding their way into conversations, decisions, and chapters still unfolding. If someone comes to mind whose path feels emotion, pass this episode on. And if the desire for more clarity, direction, and alignment has been quietly growing in the background, there's a space called the Clarity Intensified track, an open door for those moments when reflection starts asking to become movement. Until next time, take this with you gently and see what stays with you.